amazing run. Nice. Oh, my brain! Goodness me. Oh, are you serious?
Welcome to the world of X Games.
Rip to Cabo's the most demanding and difficult way to make yourself a kid again. This ain't no Boy Scout badge. This ain't no tour. And this is beyond an adventure.
Welcome to Baja, California and the Monster Energy Rip to Cabo presented by Maxxis. I'm Cameron Steele, your host for the next 1,400 miles, and it's time to go for a ride down the Baja Peninsula.
The Baja Peninsula is located south of California and just west of mainland Mexico. On the eastern shore is the Sea of Cortez, and to the west is the Pacific Ocean. It hosts a varied and majestic landscape featuring some of the best trails on the planet. But it's also home to more cactus and rocks than you can imagine. Together, they seem to guard every trail and are always just in the wrong place when you're riding dirt bikes. The Desert Assassins have been exploring the culturally rich Baja for decades now, always in search of the next great location or trail, which add up to a journey of a lifetime every time we ride. At least that's the goal. 11 years ago, we hatched the concept of riding dirt bikes from the U.S. border to the tip of the Baja Peninsula, never taking the easy way. Over the years, we have uncovered some of the most beautiful places, generous people, and some of the world's most challenging terrain. It's not an adventure to be taken lightly, and once Baja reveals herself to you, it's impossible to shake the desire to ride south of the border. Our route for 2016 bounces from coast to coast down the peninsula as we make our way to Land's End. This year, our adventure started in Tijuana as we kicked off our quest to ride over 1,400 miles in 7 days. Rip to Cabo is certainly not just an adventure ride. We are a band of brothers, and over the years, we have become a solid group of riders working together to tackle the unknowns of Baja.
2016 Rip to Cabo. Trip of a lifetime every time.
We're going to cross the border today with 47 dirt bikes. It's our largest group of riders ever on Rip to Cabo. We're going into a place that has very little medical care. We're going into a place that's very desolate. This is a very serious dirt bike trip. People cannot just sign up to come be a part of this. You guys are special dirt bike riders that have good thinking skills. By a show of hands, how many people have never been on a Desert Assassins trip?
Fresh Fish is a name that Cameron gave to first-time riders. Maybe they have Baja experience, but they don't necessarily have experience riding that many days consecutively, getting beat up day after day. He's pretty selective about the guys he brings in, so most of the time the Fresh Fish are capable, but they flounder a bit, you know, for the first couple of days till they kind of find their groove.
My name is Riley Storman. I'm from Alberta, Canada. My first rip, Fresh Fish. It's gonna be a challenge, I know that. I'm ready for anything. I think I'm ready. If you can do it, pull it off, then you know what, you graduate into, I don't know, seasoned fish.
I'm RJ Walker, and this will be my first rip. My biggest goal for this trip is to make it in one piece, not have any mechanicals, try not to crash too much, and just have a good time.
Just graduating high school, he's going to college for football. So he wanted to hang out with his dad. Down here, him and his dad, Bob Walker, decided to do the trip together.
I'm Bob Walker from Escondido, California. This will be my 8th rip. Talked to him a lot about the mental side. From a riding standpoint, he's got the skills, but it's, you know, even talking with the guys that have ridden down there a lot, we all talk about the mental side, expecting the unexpected. And that's part of the love of Baja is not knowing. You get the beauty, the majesty of Baja and the people and everything that it brings to you, but at the same time, it keeps you on edge. I told RJ, I was like, man, I want you someday to have your kids and continue sharing Baja and keep this going in our family. And I want to make sure it continues on with the kids.
Over 45 riders and another 20 crew and media members depart into Baja for the Rip to Cabo. The Desert Assassins organize all logistics for the trip, and now it's finally time to twist the throttle. The trip starts as we cross the U.S.-Mexico border and journey into 7 days of Baja with a group that will become like brothers as we work together to battle the elements and the difficult Baja landscape. Riding through the hills of Rosarito along the Pacific Ocean reminds me of my hometown of San Clemente, except riding dirt bikes at home is a major no-no.
The San Clemente crew is myself, Cameron Steele, Ryan Hagee, Mark Moss, Andy Bonin.
They come from this common community, same high school, the whole 9 yards.
Growing up in town, small town as it was back in the day, everybody kind of knew of each other, and back then we used to ride dirt bikes just in the hills behind Dana Point, San Juan, San Clemente, and that's how we all kind of got to know each other. And you know, over the years, our paths took us different ways, and then we all came back together with the love of dirt bike riding, and here we are today.
You know, we're all in the same area, and we've grown up knowing the same people, and this thing kind of collided, and we all kind of run together and ride dirt bikes together now.
The group gathers on an overlook along the coast to salute the heli, and you can tell the slightly wet dirt in the new route has the riders pretty pumped. For safety and logistics, the DA brings along a well-rounded chase crew, which includes the Monster Energy and Method Race Wheels on-trail chase trucks.
Hey, Raptor, copy Cameron.
Yeah.
Take off from you already. There, we're back with Cody. I'm in front of him.
Cody Stewart from San Clemente, California, and I'm the chase captain for the 2016 Rip to Cabo. Yeah, myself and Ryan Thomas, we were chosen to drive the Raptors. Ryan's been multi-time Baja 1000 champion. I ride with Cameron Steele in there. I've raced the Baja 1000 driving as well. Some of the trails we go on are covered in bushes. We're going 2 miles an hour over giant rocks and stuff. So we take it easy on the equipment, try to get it there. But if we need to go fast, we're qualified to do that as well.
With a short first day, the energy is high as the riders splash through puddles and rivers as they head through the Guadalupe Valley towards our day's destination, the port city of Ensenada.
All right, guys, I want to introduce Nico Saad. He's the owner of the San Nicolas Hotel. He's been so gracious to have us all here, and he's a big part of off-roading and tourism here in Baja. So round of applause for Nico.
Well, I'm just very proud of Cameron because he's truly dedicated. His love for Baja, his whole family, great guy. He's always helping. And we need people like that to open the doors to the rest of the world through cameras and through groups, special events, to show the rest of the people in the world that we're a very friendly, happy state.
When the Rip to Cabo returns, the riders face their first major challenge, the missing link. The Monster Energy Rip to Cabo presented by Maxxis on ABC, brought to you by Monster Energy, unleash the beast. Maxxis Tires, we know dirt. Lucas Oil Products, made in America, sold to the world. And Baja Designs, brighter, bolder, better. Welcome back to the 2016 Monster Energy Rip to Cabo, presented by Maxxis.
Day 2, we're hitting the missing link. Heard a lot about it. I'm excited to see what this has to offer us. It's gonna be sketchy, but that's what the Rip's all about.
We depart the San Nicolas just after dawn for 14 miles of black dune, which is what we call the pavement. The highway leads to 15 scary miles of two-track filled with massive exposure, which then abruptly comes to a halt. What lies ahead, you ask? As the two-track vanishes and the mountains end in the Pacific Ocean, we find ourselves at the missing link.
As you can probably tell, we're in a pretty remote spot with lots of vertical challenges. So this is where the missing link happens. The goal is to ride this 4 miles of single track up through those canyons right there.
One of the new trails that we brought out this year was called the Missing Link. It's just a section of land that we weren't able to get around. And a couple weeks before the ride, we were able to actually find a way and make a trail through there.
Andy, you're leading. You're going to take up Lawson, Hagee, and Wiley and drop them at the first hole to help people.
On this year's trip, we created a new trail over to the other side of the mountains there. And it was called the Missing Link Trail because it was a trail that nobody could really figure out how to cut over this mountain passage that really seemed impassable to everybody who has tried it in the past.
With special landowner permissions and keys to the gate, the DA took to what were sparsely visible animal tracks that traverse this section we call the Missing Link.
Loose dirt, a lot of momentum sections that you had to have momentum going or you wouldn't be able to get up it. There was really nothing for traction.
What do we got, 4 made it so far?
I struggle, it's just not in it, you know, I was not ready for it, but it starts right out of the gate with a very steep climb, just so easy to tip over, which is exactly what I did.
It was one of the toughest trails I'd ever been on, and that's part of this trip. I mean, you hit a lot of stuff that no one else has seen.
Missing Link was unique in that it had what I call like a couple crux. It wasn't sustained difficult, but there were a couple places where you had to do a really difficult vertical bounce up these walls to move on, and that definitely slowed everybody up.
And it's crazy because it's right on the water, it overlooks the ocean, and here's this gnarly single track that you got to get up, and it's no joke.
You can get in trouble real quick. There's a couple places on the Missing Link where if your bike slides down in there, we need a heavier helicopter than we've got on this ride to get it out.
Why is their bike laying on the ground?
I came up and I see one bike laying down that's laying down. And I'm like, it's kind of weird, just, you know, on the ground, tipped over.
Is anybody hurt?
So I stop and I run over there and I see the guy whose bike has fell down is busy locating another bike that's all the way down the canyon side. And at that time, I think we were like 4 guys and we were putting straps in it and just muscling that thing, you know, inch by inch up, which I honestly don't think we were gonna make it.
We'll get 1, 2, 3, go!
The Rip to Cabo is about having your riding brothers back. When the unexpected happens and one of the boys needs help, that's when the camaraderie of the trip really shines.
How in the world are we getting 42 guys through here?
There was a couple of hill sections that were like S-climbs, and there was no rocks or anything to help it. And at the start, you'd start and watch guys kind of like having a handful of time getting up it. And luckily I had that opportunity to just say, okay, you gotta pin it. You just gotta go for it.
The most I ever put in one weekend was about 300 miles, but never 8 or 12 hours in one day. It's gonna definitely be treacherous, but I just gotta keep my mind right and just keep chugging along and just try not to let it get to me.
We had all of us lined up on the hillside, and we were cheering everybody on and helping everybody get up the hill.
You can do it! Tractor! Yes, we go! Golf clap, golf clap!
You know, you get this crisis and everyone comes together and overcomes it, and it really builds that bond. Jimmy Sones, the Baja legend, calls it crisis bonding.
You pull together. It's a survival test. I mean, and it's like all hands on board.
When you put yourself in a situation where you're away from the comforts of the everyday life, the cell phones, the TVs, and you go and experience overcoming hardships, you build a bond. You deal with all these things and it's away from the creature comforts, and you can focus on one thing, and it's pretty amazing.
For years, Rip to Cabo brother Fred Soapke had the vision of making the Missing Link happen. In 2016, his dream became reality as we traversed the final mountain section, descending some 1,500 feet, revealing a corral on the southern end of the trail, where Fred had made a deal with the ranchers to use their property. The missing link was now real.
It drops you out at this amazing bay that everybody got to see for the first time. And there's very few that have seen it.
They were really impressed. It's been, man, 20 years people have been getting through this section, and we finally made some room to get through.
The end of civilization in El Rosario and the border of the Never Never awaits as we finish over 200 miles on the day.
It's day 2, El Rosario. I'm doing an oil change on Ryan Haggie's bike. We'll get some fresh Lucas oil in there and be good to go tomorrow.
Well, of course, bike prep is a big part of what happens on Rip to Cabo, but when you're traveling down the Baja Peninsula, there's more than just riding dirt bikes, of course. We're talking about some of the people that live in the Baja. And Antonio from Baja Cactus, where we're staying tonight, he owns the Pemex, he owns the hotel, but he's also trying to build a fire station across the street. So he runs a service called the Halcones de Desierto, or the Desert Hawks.
We brought a bunch of stuff down from the U.S., from Oceanside, Carlsbad, Glendale fire departments. Come together and donated some items for you.
Oh, thank you.
The Desert Hawks Fire Department down here.
Thank you, we appreciate it. I mean, that's amazing. The only way we can survive in these areas with this is with donation from the state, so we really appreciate it.
The efforts of Antonio and the Desert Hawks will save lives, and the DA believes 100% in their efforts. It's time for some sleep, as tomorrow is what we call a banger, with more single track on tap than any other day of the trip.
Well, another epic sunny day, bluebird conditions for Rip to Cabo. As you can see, all the bikes are ready to go, so I gotta put my gear on and go for a ride. Can't wait to have a little fun today.
With Johnny at the lead, the day kicks off for the riders, while somehow the chase crew found themselves in an interesting situation.
I don't know where the decision making was on this one, but our dually is sitting on top of a sand dune.
You know, when you got a truck that weighs this much with a trailer that big, being in sand is sketchy nonetheless.
Travis, what do you think about this decision making?
I think Frisky deserves a pink ribbon all over his clothes. When that trailer hooked the sand like a big tractor, the truck wasn't going anywhere. Luckily, we got 2 tractors out of nowhere showed up to help us out. We're gonna pay them in stickers, which is gold down here. And you know, it's a learning experience for all of us.
Baja is an amazing place that has people. They are very open and they're friendly, and their hospitality is second to none. A lot of them have nothing, but they're willing to take the shirt off their back and give it to you.
You know, they're so helpful. There's many times we've had problems where they've helped out.
They love what we're doing. They all have big smiles on their faces, very welcomed everywhere we go.
The stories of Baja, you know, sure, there could be a bad place and bad situations in Mexico. There's no doubt about it. But there's bad things in Los Angeles. There's bad things in any big city in America. Way more dangerous than going to Baja.
Every time we travel the Baja, the people stand out as the best part of this magical place. With Chase getting a helping hand out of the sand, the riders make their way past Punta Baja, just outside of El Rosario. Here we will navigate our way to the center of the peninsula and our night 3 destination of Catavina. But first, we have some trails to ride. The first banger of the day is the Skyline Trail, where the boys get to ride some perilous ridges overlooking the valley that will then lead us to Haggie's Mess.
Haggie's Mess on the 2016 Rip to Cabo, for me, was something I'd never experienced in my life. Back to being terrified of heights, I've never ridden a trail that was a spine. And then for it to non-stop, to keep going, and then when we finally get out of it, to go again, it was pretty hairy, but that's one of the reasons I enjoy riding with Cameron Steele and the rest of the Desert Assassins, is they always introduce me to different crazy fun things.
Kind of like our old stomping grounds at Ocotillo Wells, through the mud hills, single track.
It was just a flowing, wonderful trail, beautiful ridges,
just rolling through, and you got to carve it with your buddies, and there was just a trail of us just carving these mud hills and big giant peaks and valleys, and I don't even like ridges yet. Haggie's Mess was a good time.
Next up, the trail would lead us to the San Carlos Mesa, where the technical, tight, and remote Coyote Canyon would be revealed.
Coyote Canyon was a bit of a challenge for me. I don't believe I was down that one before, but it also gave me a little trouble. Ended up not negotiating a rock section too well. Over the bars, bike on top of me, pinned. There was actually a cameraman at that spot. He had to help me get the bike off of me, otherwise I was going to be there for a while.
Coyote Canyon's landscape consists of some strenuous and tech single track that includes rock-filled routes and, of course, a plethora of cactus. From boojum trees and cardones to cholla and all other forms of cactus, Baja is filled with plants built to puncture. No matter your experience level, cactus is the great equalizer.
It's funny when you realize how much respect the cactus has. Because when we're riding two-track, you can watch the line. And if it's normal bushes, everybody's perfectly in line. If you see a cactus, the tracks are in around the cactus.
Sounds like we have a rider with a thorn piercing into his wrist.
Yeah, this trip, Mathis Reiber got a thorn in his wrist and ended up having to load up.
So it went in right here?
Yeah, there's a big hole down there.
Let's bring him back here if there's any questions.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to open it up now, Mathis.
Okay.
Well, that's what I call a banger day right there. Rip to Cabo, 12 hours in the saddle, 8:30 in the morning until 8:30 at night, which means we're in the dark. And if you're gonna be riding at night, you wanna have the confidence of great equipment. We run Baja Designs, and not only do we run the product, we brought the owner on the trip with us. Super stoked. Thank you, Alan, for all you guys do.
Great ride, Cameron, and coming in the dark gives a whole new perspective on Baja. Cereal trees come alive, the cactus are reaching out for you, and it's just a magical ride.
That's the way you ride dirt bikes right there, from morning until night when it's dark.
Tomorrow's trail is going to be more single track. We have a lot of really good trails that Jimmy Soanes is going to show us. This area is my favorite place in the whole world.
Stay tuned for more from the world of X Games. Welcome back to the world of X Games.
The Monster Energy Rip to Cabo, presented by Maxxis on ABC, brought to you by Monster Energy, Unleash the Beast. Maxxis Tires, we know dirt. Method Race Wheels, lighter, stronger, faster. And Troy Lee Designs, for the world's fastest racers.
All right, you guys, gear them up, load them up. Day 4. Lots of fun to be had.
Kevin's heaven. He worked on it for 6 years. Kevin Ward built the perfect single track in the perfect place at the perfect time. It takes 3 hours to get through it, and it's only 16 miles long.
As we crest the summit of Fred's Tractor Trail, I know that emotion and soul searching will enter me as we travel down one of our favorite canyons in Baja.
One of the toughest things for me about hosting Baja rides is coming back after Jeff Oxcargola passed away. And Jeff was more than a Baja champion, more than a freestyle rider. He was like my son. And in 2011, on one of our rides, he crashed and ended up not living because of that day. And also, the reason for coming back is because of Jeff. And this spot here at La Turquesa reminds me a lot about him, because he used to hop across all these little sections and have fun while everybody was waiting for all the other riders. So I love to think about him. Just an amazing kid. Jeff, we love you and miss you, brother.
All right, here we are, 2016 Monster Energy Rip to Cabo. We're sitting here just south of Gonzaga Bay at Coco's Corner. Made a little pit stop before the guys go off into Ward Falls. Coco made a little oasis in the middle of nowhere. So we're gonna go in, have a chat with them.
Yeah, I come here in a shuttle wheel, not in the truck. 26 years ago, when I make to this place.
He's got a book that everyone signs when they come visit. Leaves a little piece, a little note to him.
Coco is a character for sure. He has decorated his oasis with undergarments of all styles and sizes. Make sure you visit Coco if you find yourself near his latitude and longitude.
All right, guys, we're gonna go into this trail, brand new trail. It's obviously something Kevin Ward built.
You know, might be a little egotistical, but I put so many days in it, so much work, so I'm calling it Ward Falls. And you'll see, the falls are spectacular. I think it's one of the most beautiful features down here.
I'm Kevin Ward, and my position on the RIP is I ride the trail with all the riders with a camera in my backpack.
He built this trail that only 8 guys had been through so far.
So it's basically from nowhere to nowhere. The trail starts at Coco's Corner, which is nowhere, and it goes to what I call Soane's intersection, which is in the middle of nowhere.
Getting in on that trail and the technical difficulty of it had to be a 9 easy out of 10.
Can we get the bike off of me, please? Thank you, dude.
It started as a single track through cactus and hills and sand. It wasn't too rocky yet.
4 or 5 miles to the desert with just a nice rhythm and just beautiful riding, basically, just at nice speed. We jump back and forth across this ravine and gain this summit, which has an amazing view. Maybe a half mile, 3/4 mile of really difficult boulders and cactus. You're riding sideways across this. From that, then it gets super technical. There's a side hill out of this solid rock that I had to chip out to make, and you can't keep your feet on the pegs. You gotta put one foot up on the cliff face and just kind of burp, burp, burp along.
In the tree. You look at some of these places and you think, what in the world is Kevin even thinking? I wouldn't even hike through here, let alone think I can drag a dirt bike through here at some point, or 40+ dirt bikes. Again, everywhere we go at home, we're paved roads or graded roads, and there's an infrastructure to it. And down here, blazing through stuff that animals don't even want to deal with, and here we are riding motorcycles through it.
Need help? Don't let it go down the hill!
It's pretty technical, all the way down to the bottom of the feature, which is I've called Ward Falls, which is just one of the more amazing things I've found in Baja. It's basically a vertical waterfall, and I'm guessing maybe 275, 300 feet.
That trail was breathtaking in itself, but at the same time, you're kind of wondering, man, I hope I'm gonna get out of here, because, I mean, at one point, we had people strewn up and down the side of this mountain, and I was looking up going, man, we might be here all night.
There's no picture that can do justice on being on a dirt bike and sitting, looking up 100, 200 feet straight up, and seeing other people climb and struggle, and knowing that you have to go up there next. You have an anxious feeling sitting there.
We're sitting in line, and same thing. Everybody's waiting for everyone to go up ahead. And I could, it was like a little S going up the hill. And RJ was like up in the front with Johnny. And I see RJ going. It was like a little rock outcropping. And when he's going, he like hit a rock and just got off balance. And all I see is him running down the mountain and the bike just flipping behind him.
And it was sheer rock down the side, and he fell about 15 feet. Luckily, he stopped. Another 10 feet, he would have been probably all the way off the edge.
When things really get hard out there, when the trail gets difficult, the amount of, you'd have to call brotherhood meets volunteerism. Everyone getting off their bike and helping that guy get to that section. That is beyond amazing. It's a group working together to achieve the same goal. We all want to get up the trail. And people don't realize some of the stuff we have down here. It's trials meets motocross. It's really challenging, and these guys make it happen for each other.
I couldn't believe that we all got out of there, to be honest with you.
Kevin, great job on an amazing trail.
Thanks. It's pretty cool to have all the Desert Assassins here, like 45 guys, and first big group through here. So I guess at least, what, 300 feet?
At least. All right, you guys, let's salute the heli as he goes by.
What's the level of consequence if you have a little mishap out here?
Lethal.
truly lethal.
Stay tuned for more from the world of X Games. Welcome back to the world of X Games.
After Ward Falls, we also tackled the Grande Vista Trail on our way to Guerrero Negro. Both were incredibly tough, and without the bulletproof diesel support crew, it would be hard to accomplish.
One of the key components to the success of the trip is the chase team. Their chase trucks are out in the middle of nowhere to fuel us, to feed us, to give us snacks, everything to keep us moving.
Ken has been part of it now for years, and the guy, I don't think he's ever asked for anything.
You know, he's doing this just because he believes in what Cameron's doing down here and really believes in what we're doing and tries to help us at any point.
You know, we're riding down all these different trails, and all of a sudden we come around the corner, boom, there's a bulletproof diesel truck.
And they get out in these remote areas where after coming through the trails, I'm always amazed. How did they get a truck out here to support us?
They're there, they're always on time. The guys are fueling us up. They always have cold drinks for us. And those guys are just absolutely fabulous. We couldn't do it without them.
As we head into the vast salt flats below San Ignacio, the traditional halfway point of the peninsula, the route is much less technical, but riding 300 miles of anything on your dirt bike is not easy. As we follow local tracks off the beach, we head inland to one of my favorite off-the-grid locations in Baja, La Purísima.
We're in La Purísima, San Ysidro area. Beautiful, beautiful oasis in the middle of the peninsula. I've probably been through this town 50 or 60 times, and I'm fascinated by it. I love it.
Nice and slow through town. That's the way we roll. We just came through La Purísima and saw the El Pilon, I believe it's called. And the aqueduct that we rode by was built in approximately 1938, we hear. And it, to this day, feeds water to La Purísima, which is a town that has a lot of history, especially in the off-road races, but just a beautiful valley full of date palms, water features, the climb out, and of course the crazy mountain, all very spectacular.
With the sun setting as we leave La Purísima, the riders know we'll finish our 300-mile day in the dark.
It's weird, man. I don't know if it's Baja or just night riding in general. I've done night riding before, but you know, you got this feeling of loneliness out there, and bushes turn into, you know, animals, and animals turn into monsters. Things just become really different at night.
Holy hell, that was
the dust.
the trail.
We were bikes bouncing, wheels out from underneath you sideways. You're just like, all right, there's one life gone. There's two lives gone. I'm burning through my lives.
How about that bull running straight at us?
The night brings a whole different perspective to riding a motorcycle, especially down in Baja. And when you get done with it, you look back and it's quite an accomplishment, but at the same time, when it's going on, you have this huge sense of loneliness out there. You know, and it's the real deal.
Well, I can tell you that 300-mile days don't come all the time, but I think they're kind of beat up, so we're gonna have some dinner, rest, and get back at it at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Stay tuned for more from the world of X Games. Welcome back to the world of X Games.
Welcome to Baja, California and the historic San Javier Mission. This site was founded in 1699 and is known as the Jewel of the Mission Trail. Of course, today we rode our dirt bikes right to the front door, and that's what the Monster Energy Rip to Cabo presented by Maxxis is all about.
It's spectacular. I mean, I can't say the exact facts about it, but I know that the stone was quarried somewhere else. It's limestone, which is not native to here. And I believe all the intricate artwork and the stone, I'm pretty sure, was done in Spain, from what I heard. And they put it on a boat, sailed it here, and then, brought it up this canyon and built it. They got a nice main drag now and a paved road, and it wasn't that way 10, 15 years ago.
Leaving the beauty of the San Javier Mission means mountain roads lay ahead with endless water crossings. With a couple 100 miles between us and La Paz, it gave Maine's Kevin Deschamps-Bolt the opportunity to have some fun with the boys.
This year, I have to say, I spent some time with riding next to Kevin Deschamps-Bolt, and that guy was messing with people on the trail with a stick. I've never seen somebody ride so well with one hand while he was jousting with a stick.
I would tap them on their outer shoulder so they'd feel something, and then they'd look, and there was nobody there because I'd be off on the right. Not in dangerous situations or anything, but you could see some of the guys would be so mad, and then they would actually wave me on to go get their buddy that they were riding with.
He can take a monotonous trail that, we're trying to connect sections from here to there, and Kevin will find something to do on the trail that just makes everybody laugh.
That's just the way I ride. Some people don't like it, but the majority of them do. So I joke with them and I say, just because it wasn't in the brochure doesn't mean you're not going to get it from Kevin.
What do you think it'd take him to get him through to the highway here? 2 hours?
How's the silt on the other side? There's all kinds of lines out there.
I didn't really think about the silt.
One thing you just can't grasp until you bite into a mouthful of grit is silt. It's just another piece of the Baja adventure.
Silt beds. I followed Rocco through a line and I didn't have the momentum, so I basically got in the silt bed and tipped over right into the cactus there. It was spectacular.
The silty 2-track led to a fisherman's route along the beach, which sure looked fun. As the 2-track vanished, the boys' sense of adventure grew.
Well, one of the things I think is really special about Baja is riding your dirt bike along the ocean. Riding wheelies and the mist hitting you and your buddies are there.
There are places where you're hauling the mail. I mean, you're really going and the road disappears. The world disappears.
And then all of a sudden it would stop right into super tight, very technical, challenging. Some bikes almost ended up in the ocean.
They may have pre-ran this thing a couple weeks ago. Storm comes along and washes it away, where all of a sudden you got to stop.
A lot of times there's just no backtracking. It's like, no, you're going forward and we're going to make it work. There's no bailing out. There isn't. I don't know what drives Cameron. I mean, how did he possibly get this many guys down the peninsula?
When the Rip to Cabo returns, the Pacific cools us down. The Rip to Cabo seems to have an issue with water. The sea and ocean, to be exact. In 2014, we lost some bikes off of Ponga in the Sea of Cortez. After an hour, the heli spotted them, and the crew, with local diving support, retrieved them. And in 2015, we battled a Pacific Coast river mouth that nearly claimed a handful of bikes. You would think we had learned our lesson by now.
Not always the chaos that you want when you're seeing dirt bikes in the saltwater, but we took a little bit of a gamble. We got caught on a little bit of a high tide condition, but we still wanted to break through and get to Punta Conejo, and wow, utter chaos ensued.
Of course, we saw the road option inland up the cliffs, but we decided to try and ride it like it was low tide, which it wasn't.
Well, we did it. We made it to the steps before dark. 247 47 miles on the day. As you can see, one of those legendary Baja off-road spots, just kind of the ledges that you hop down along the way. In the background, La Paz, and a warm bed and a cold drink. Sounds pretty good right about now.
The beauty of Baja always pops at sunset, and today was a prime example. With an epic ride in the books, we were ready to rinse the dirt out of our mouths at our favorite restaurant in La Paz, Stella's.
All right, guys, today's our last day, and we're here to have a good time and at the same time be smart. We've talked about it before. The bikes are tired. You're tired. Still a long way to go. Be smart, have fun, be safe.
Leaving the Bay of La Paz on the last day is a pretty magical feeling. We are all fired up to get to Cabo, but we still have to keep our heads in the ride.
One of the greatest things about this trip is when you get further south on the peninsula, you realize that you're almost there. The vistas are beautiful, and you realize that Cabo's only a short ride away.
Last day of the rip, you know, you kind of have this idea when you wake up that it's going to be a vacation day. You know, you're going to get in, be able to hang out with your family, you're not going to do any riding. Cameron throws 200 miles at you. Last day we did a really cool trail. It was first time we've ever hit it. We went back up into the mountains after we came down the East Cape and then hit one of the best fire roads that we've hit the whole trail, side by side, sliding around, just having a good time. No knobbies left on the tires and just letting it have it, and just smiles the whole way.
I was counting the miles. Once we had 50 more miles to go, I could see every single mile going by so slow.
Coming into town, the bikes are getting louder, like everyone's just so excited.
It's a nice mental relief coming over that hill, being able to see Cabo, and it means that you prepared right physically and mentally, both your body and your bike.
Well, I guess it's time for the party now that we have got to Cabo San Lucas. Ripped Cabo's in the books. Everybody did a great job. And I found my reason for being 7 days, 1,448 miles, 41 riders rolled in the office. What an amazing trip.
I probably won't ever do this without them coming down because, you know, coming down and seeing friends and family and stuff like that waiting for you and being able to enjoy that moment with them and everybody you rode in with and the crew. For that 1 hour, or however long that is, that we come in and are all able to hang out with everybody is truly amazing.
It's hard, it's challenging, but getting to Cabo is earning it. You work hard and you earn those beers and you earn the good time with your brothers and you have those memories for a lifetime.
Spending that time on the trail with these guys and helping them at night and fixing their bikes on the trail and riding with these guys, you just get a bond that you can't really get from doing anything else. And this brotherhood that we talk about is something pretty special.
And that's a wrap. The 2016 Monster Energy Rip to Cabo presented by Maxxis Tires is all done. 1,448 tough dirt bike miles over 7 days at Cabo San Lucas. I'm gonna say it was a huge hit. That's it from Cabo San Lucas. Cameron Steele and all the crew for Rip to Cabo signing off. See you.
The Rip to Cabo is a trip of a lifetime every time. For more on bike and truck trips, follow the Desert Assassins on social media.